Hey, you blink, I'll cut your eyelids off. Don't you blink.
I got you.
Let's go.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast. We're, of course, yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richey. Glad to be back here for right now. I know it's been a while here, and I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering where I'm at. Just been dealing with some personal issues off to the side and some errands this past week, so just bear with me. Maybe make some more changes here. I'll keep you guys informed. But right now, I just want to continue to pick back up where we left off as far as it relates to this past week right now. Two of the biggest headlines, beginning first with Ben Roethlisberger, who him and the Pittsburgh Steelers agreed to a contract extension right now through 2021, as it was announced by both Schefter and, of course, Ian Rapoport. This news, of course, broke on Thursday, March 4th at noon. And basically right now, the way it's set up is we take a look at Rap Sheet, which is Ian Rapoport. He can be followed on Twitter at Rap Sheet. Notes that it's a one-year deal basically for about $14 million. The way that's broken down right now, if we take a look at Ben's cap status right now, he is going to be having $2.585 million, which adds up to a $12.925 million signing bonus right now. So remember, he was slated to have $19 million earned this year from his base salary and his roster bonus, which would have been due on March 17th. Instead, he elected to take a $5 million pay cut. Took down the $14 million, and what they did, like I said, they took 12.925 of that money and turned it into a signing bonus, leaving his base salary with $1.075 million, and like I said, 2.585 for the next 5 seasons, basically a 4-year contract extension. If we take a look at it, you still add that up to the signing bonus that he had this year, $22.25 million. And as it takes a look at it right now, his prorated bonus for the first year of this year's cap will be 24.835. So remember, again, he's going to be having about 12.925, pretty much nearly $13 million in signing bonus, if you think about it. And you're going to add the first portion of that payment that spreads out, add up to this year's already to 22.25. For $24.835 million right now. Definitely take a look at some interesting situations going on right here. I mean, take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, according to overthecap.com, right now they are slated at over $3.6 million in salary cap space. But I just saw Chris Muller, he just retweeted here on Twitter earlier too, with the restructure and with $1.075 million base salary and that signing bonus I just talked about, that's going to still keep Pittsburgh in the negative, supposedly. I guess like once everything goes through at about minus $297,911 in cap space. They'll just be a tad over the cap. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but for right now, as we take a look at over the cap, it still shows about $3.6 million. Either way, I think that is very admirable. Say what you will, and if we really think about this right now, I mean, let's face facts here. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, no matter what, having Dwayne Haskins, who they took as like a no risk, as a low risk right now and no harm or anything. I mean, if he makes the roster or not, remember, it's not counting against the salary cap. And honestly, I think it definitely says a lot about Mason Rudolph right now. I mean, are they going to, like, experiment with him in next season for 2022? I'm not sure if that's going to be necessarily the case right now, but I definitely do feel like this is a right move as it pertains. I know a lot of people who have been looking at it, been insisting he should be moving on. He should be out of the organization. I mean, and they really, a lot of people, including some former teammates, people across the league, some veterans too, who used to play with him, feels like he will be setting this team back a year or two. One in particular, Ike Taylor, who was definitely making that. But he did say if Ben Roethlisberger was going to come back, that he needed to make sure he kept himself in the best shape possible. I mean, he had to make sure he's dieting properly. I mean, you cannot have, this yoga, drink beer and play golf type workout. It has to be very on top when you look at it. And like I said, I think one of the things I always keep falling back on too, I listen to Bob Papiani, who of KDKA and 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. One of the main things I always keep remember what he's be saying too. Listen, this guy has been going through a lot of rehabbing last year. Let's not forget. So he's been having to do little steps gradually to make sure he gets throwing elbow back in the shape. Because remember, about this time a year ago, don't forget, he was still not cleared yet to be throwing a football. I think that happened around end of April or beginning of May, somewhere around that time period. And that's where you really got to look at the bottom line. All the stuff that plays into the equation here. I think this offseason, granted, not having to go back on the road to recovery, I think that definitely gives them a lot of rest, a lot of time to totally rehabilitate. And the beautiful thing, too, about this contract right now, too, they're going to be having 4 voidable years spread out the half. Technically, like I said, a deal for 2025, as Rapoport notes, voiding after the season. And Ben Roethlisberger's response in a statement after getting this deal done, he was saying, "It is my greatest honor to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and give my all for this organization. I am grateful to be at this stage of my career and more than happy to adjust my contract in a way that best helps the team to address other players who are so vital to our success. I love this game. I love to compete, and I believe in this team and my ability to deliver when called upon. It all starts with great preparation, and I am ready to go." And you look at Ed Bouchette, too, of the Athletic. He's also knowing that by taking $5 million reduction in pay, his minimum salary spreading out the rest over the voidable years, his new deal with the Steelers shaves off more than $15 million from their salary cap in 2021. So listen, you take a look at it right there. Ben Roethlisberger, say what you will, but at the end of the day, too, a lot of people are more arguing, is this contract more Ben-friendly or is it more team-friendly? At the end of the day, I'm going to still say it's going to lean more towards the team. I still have a hard time believing that he's trying to do whatever he can and not really thinking about how the team is going to be in future years. I have a hard time believing that. Listen, I know it's been a question of concern here, but at the same time, too, when you look at what Ben Roethlisberger has meant to this franchise, the quarterback position alone, when you went through 20 seasons exactly, since Terry Bradshaw, the only thing you possibly had somewhat of a bridge of a quarterback was Neil O'Donnell. Say what you will about Super Bowl flaw in 30. At the end of the day, they went a long time. Hell and high water. They had a lot of those years where the defense would carry them. You did have some special guys on offense, little by little. A lot of that was more of a defensive unit more than anything for a lot of years. And that's the thing right now. Ben Roethlisberger, the Steelers, that was just not going to be their style, I feel, to not send a message that they won't want to compete. I do feel like Ben Roethlisberger keeps this guy the best available option. You don't want to be looking right now because I do feel like right now, too, Arthur Moats makes some great points, too. At the end of the day, when you sign this guy now, too, and consider how many guys you're going to possibly lose in free agency, there's still a lot of questions to be answered right now. How are you going to have, Juju Smith-Schuster back on this team? He definitely wants to come back, but it's going to be realistically him and his group be okay with taking less money here. To stay with this team, I think about it. That's the thing. You got so much questions. In particular, with this unit right now. I mean that, and then too with the salary cap, if it stays at $180.5 million, I mean, how many more people are going to be shaved on this roster? More particularly defense right now. More particularly, you got a guy like possibly a Joe Hayden, a Vince Williams right now. I mean, how much are their days just about numbered right now? I mean, when we take a look at things, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios going on right now. But, I mean, when you look at everything, too, I mean, you look at the Steelers right now, their dead money right now, currently up to date, they're about $9.5 million in dead money with Marquise Pouncey and Vance McDonald officially in the books right now for that retirement, both of them retiring this offseason. I mean, I got tend to believe right now I'm liking the wave that is rising for the Steelers right now. Listen, I don't think they're going to have a lot of money to spend in free agency, but I think definitely getting cap compliant, I think is definitely a huge win for them right now, considering everything that is going on. Just the question is, how many more other guys are you going to possibly see going out the window here? I mean, one of the key guys, I mean, particularly right now, I mean, you got to think it's almost inevitable that Alejandro Villanueva, your left tackle, is going to be gone. Matt Filer, he is an unrestricted free agent right now. I mean, you also got Mike Hilton right now. I mean, one of your nickel corners right now. Is he going to be walking here? And I'd also like to think right now, too, I mean, look at another guy, too, on this defense, Avery Williamson. What's he going to be doing? Because I thought Avery Williamson was a huge piece that they acquired, I mean, during the season. I mean, when you really look at it. I mean, Avery Williamson, I mean, was, I think, by far a very good contributor when called upon and needed. I mean, in this league, when you take a look at it, I mean, when the Steelers made the trade right now, I mean, sending a 7th round pick right now that they received from the Jets in 2022, and the Steelers sending a 5th round pick for him. I mean, the Steelers would send their 5th round pick to get the Jets' 7th round pick along with Avery Williamson here. And I got to tell you, I mean, this guy was pretty good as advertised. And I liked what he was able to do, I mean, on this team. I mean, Avery Williamson, I mean, was a guy who did, I think, quite a bit here, I mean, for this defense right now. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, this guy still was able to manage. I mean, when you look at his time with the Steelers, he still had 52 combined tackles down the stretch, 37 of them solo. He had one more tackle he did with the Jets during the season. He had 36 with the Jets. But still, I mean, this guy was just phenomenal right now. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Of course, I mean, he didn't get any sacks, but still, I'm very impressed what I saw with him right here. When you look at, you know, like the depth that was being shredded when you were without Devin Bush, Robert Spillane for a period of time here, and now him. I mean, and that's going to be a real interesting thing. So let's see how much more this goes on right now. I mean, still, you even got Tyson Alalalu right now. That's going to be another guy right now. Is he going to be a guy that walks? So, I mean, those are like the things right there that stand out for me right now. I mean, are the Steelers going to go in a much younger direction right now? I mean, and then you look at it too. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, this guy's been like he's like the only receiver on here outside of Raymond McLeod. I mean, are we going to see more in the future go with Ben Roethlisberger, Deontay Johnson, then Chase Claypool? I mean, I think in this offense with James Washington and Eric Ebron, I mean, is that going to be the future, I mean, of this core going forward? Well, it's going to be more likely Ben Roethlisberger's final year as Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, we're talking right now the impact of Ben Roethlisberger's 1-year extension right now. What do you guys feel? Do you guys like it, hate it? Are you in the middle of the road? Feel free to let me know. I'm streaming live right now on Facebook and Instagram. Once again, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richey. For the Mass Steel Podcast on Twitter, it is at Mass Steel CGR and at Mass Steel Nation on Instagram. So aside from the Ben Roethlisberger news right now, too, I know one of the biggest things too that was a little disappointing was the signing of free agent JJ Watt right now. JJ Watt right now, who signs with the Arizona Cardinals, who did not go to Steelers, he did not go to any other teams like the Titans or the Bills. I mean, he didn't even go back to his home. He didn't even bother going back to his hometown in Wisconsin where he grew up at. But instead, I mean, when you look at it right now, he signed a 2-year contract with the Cardinals on March 1st. I mean, when you look at it, with a base value of $28 million, $23 million in guaranteed, and Watt received a $12 million signing bonus along with guaranteed salary in 2021 of $5.5 million in 2022 when you look at it. So, I mean, congratulations to him, obviously. I mean, when you take a look at it right now, I mean, that guy has been a tremendous beast right now. But at the same time, I'm not so sure if I'm going to see this guy winning a Super Bowl here. I mean, with the Cardinals right here. I don't think that makes any sense. If anything, if you're going to go in that division, why not the Rams? Why not somewhere where you're going to be having, I mean, like a defense that's already stacked? I mean, with an Aaron Donald, I mean, a Leonard Floyd right now. I mean, still. And you take a look at it here. I think Jaylen Ramsey was another one. But still, I was very disappointed to say the least, hearing that, just like many other people. And again, I think I definitely do feel like this was definitely about the money right now. Right now, I mean, when you take a look at it, I mean, definitely, I mean, at this age right now, I mean, who is at the age of 32, he's only been healthy for 2 full seasons out of the last 5 years. I mean, ever since winning his last Defensive Player of the Year award. But still, I mean, right now, I mean, when you take a look at it, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, sometimes, you know what, when you're at this point in your career, you know what, you want it's more good to be financially secure. Make sure you have those incentives. Make sure you're being taken care of right now. I mean, for it. I mean, when you look at it. So, I mean, I definitely do feel like right now, at the end of the day, it is a real interesting right now. Really awesome stuff right now. But still, I mean, it was definitely a head scratcher, I think, to say the least right now. I mean, if you ask me. And I just wonder like why there. I mean, but at the same time too, I mean, I guess the logic is too. I mean, him and his family not really want to move that much further away. I mean, he loved being in the state of Texas. I mean, he loved playing with the Texans for a lot of years. I mean, 2-year, $28 million contract. But I would also like to think from a family perspective too. I mean, it's like Arizona, not that far off from Texas. So why not like go like a little bit closer? You're going to be playing in great weather conditions right there. And then again, I also really like to believe too, because don't forget, he's also reunited with one of the coaches who's on that Cardinals roster I think one of the secondary coaches. I forget his name. I can't think of it right now. But still, I think maybe there's an upswing right there. Maybe there's a lot of things he sees right there. I mean, with that organization, he feels like he definitely helped bring a Super Bowl with, as long as you still got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins over there too. I mean, who's on that team. I mean, you look at everything right now. I mean, you gotta definitely feel like, I mean, this team right now is still like a team that can make some noise, like Super Bowl wise right now. I mean, he's going to be around there for at least 2024. So let's see. Like I said, J.J. Watt, I never really felt like it was going to be a good fit, even if he were to come to the Steelers. It was just been so much stuff to juggle right now. And to be honest, I'm not sure if him and his team were willing to take less money to play with his brothers, his family. I mean, so there's goes that right now. So let's go ahead and get into what I was saying in here too. I know last week I mentioned outside linebackers and quarterbacks. Quarterbacks I'm gonna hold off until Monday. Right now, we're just gonna focus on outside linebackers for this year's draft. If you guys may recall, I mean, on the last podcast, I was able to do running backs and tackles the last time. And we take a look at this right now going into this year's draft. I mean, just in case, because right now, it's really not so sure if the Steelers are going to be able to maintain Bud Dupree right now. I mean, Bud Dupree at the end of the day right now, when you look at his market value right now, I mean, for this team, according to Spoke Track, I mean, like what he's be commanding in the open market, it's definitely going to be like over the $18 million figure salary right there. As we take a look at his exact market value right now, 4 years at about $72.8 million, $18.2 million per year. And not only that, too, I mean, you also got to believe, too, I mean, TJ Watt and his group right now, you better believe that they're paying attention to what his brother JJ got right now and trying to get somewhere along in that area right now. Make sure, I mean, he doesn't get lowballed. I mean, there's still like talks right now. Will the Steelers be willing to like tag him again, sign him probably next year, or just put the option on him right now, give him his 5th-year option? I mean, for all that. I mean, currently he is set for about over $10 million for this season. But I mean, his market value, I mean, for a guy who came very darn close to winning Defensive Player of the Year award, I mean, his salaries look to be looked at 5 years at $25.4 million annually. They got a lot of stuff to consider right now. I mean, a lot of moving parts here. I mean, if you're going to give TJ Watt that money, I mean, you're going to have to make the tough choices right now. I mean, with guys like Joe Hayden, Vince Williams. So let's go ahead and get into the outside linebackers prospects. Should the Steelers have to end up trying to draft an outside linebacker with not their first, but maybe their second pick? Because you know what? A lot of outside linebackers in this year's draft, there's only like 3 of them projected to go in the first round. A lot of these outside linebackers, too, when you take a look at this year's draft class, according to Walter Football, they're projected to go at least like in the second round, like minimum. I mean, when you take a look at everything right now. And I mean, when you look at one of the first few guys that like stands up right there, I mean, to that point right now, I mean, take a look at one guy right now. I'm going to start off with. I mean, he's a 5th-ranked prospect, but I definitely feel like he's a real good one. And if you also think about it, too, other Kevin Colbert, I mean, him drafting outside linebackers, there's been only one linebacker in recent memory where they did not draft in the first round, but he was a Pro Bowler in his career, and that was Lamar Woodley back in 2007 out of Michigan. He only made one Pro Bowl for his career, one Super Bowl, but at the same time, too, Lamar Woodley, even though he did start like not be the same guy like around like 2013, I want to say it was 2012, 2013. I mean, that guy was huge, I think, for their last and final Super Bowl run, especially getting back to one more Super Bowl, despite coming up short right now. And I'm talking about Joseph Osai. Joseph Osai right now, he has pass rush upside and plays with a good motor. A lot of team sources feel this guy is a fit to be a 3-4 outside linebacker in the NFL. And I definitely got to believe right now, in Osai right now, I mean, when you look at, a guy who's played in Texas, made some big plays in pass defense, getting after the quarterback and creating a number of splash plays. If he could build on his sophomore season, he has potential to be a riser as an upperclassman. And when we look at Joseph Osai's stats, I mean, within that second year, speaking of which, for what he's been able to do here, I mean, Joseph Osai here, I mean, you take a look at it. I mean, he's been able to get like 5 sacks in his sophomore year. I mean, with 13 and a half tackles for loss. And he was able to play a little bit of pass coverage that year too, where he had 2 interceptions for 24 yards. And still, I mean, this guy finished off, I mean, his career with 11 and a half sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery for a total takeaway of 3 total takeaways in his career here at the Texas Longhorns in 3 seasons. I cannot wait to see what the official combine grade is on this guy, because remember, a lot of these guys are going to be doing it from their atmosphere. I think their universities or whatever virtually. So, I mean, that's one guy to consider right there. I mean, and it's okay. I mean, if they don't get one in the first round, because I think right now you're looking at running backs right now. I mean, are we going to be like seeing the Steelers possibly get in the first round? Because like one guy that still keeps popping up a lot, according to Ed Bouchette, that he likes, and a lot of people have been looking at this guy as Najee Harris right now, out of Alabama right now, because his argument is that a good running back could help a lot of the issues with the offensive line and everything that has been going on. And why not? I think right now, because let's face it, I think right now that you got Ben Roethlisberger signed to that 1-year deal, I mean, there's no really rush to get a quarterback right now. I mean, you can wait till like your second or third pick. I mean, at this point, I think the thing is, I think you still want to be caught with your pants down, let the season go by. Then it's like your last minute rushing, trying to find that quarterback. I think you probably have to get a quarterback in your second pick, maybe third at the latest. But I mean, that's going to definitely be a real dubious task right there, because I do gotta believe right now Steelers are paying very closely attention to that right now. And it's just a lot. Because remember, you don't necessarily go by, I mean, what the best, I mean, you never want to go by your mock draft, but at the same time, too, you also want to go by what's the best available, too. Sometimes you're not going to always get everyone you want on your wish list over here. And when you look at the Steelers in the draft, or remember, they'll be picking 24th in the first round. And then in the second round, they will be picking at 55th overall. And then they're going to be for that, the third round, they'll be 87th. Okay. So, I mean, that's at least like, 3 spots in the top 100. Again, 24th, 55th, and 87th right now. I mean, for this team lining up right now. Plus, don't forget, you also got a compensatory pick. You're going to be at least having at least 2 compensatory picks in this year's draft. In the 4th round, 141st overall. And then in the 6th round at 225th. So those would be some interesting stuff right there. Look at another prospect right here. Xavier Collins right now out of Tulsa. I mean, he's the 3rd projected prospect, and he is big, quick, and a versatile athlete who displays some ability to drop in the coverage, make tackles in the run game, and rush the passer. He's projected to go between rounds 1 and 2. Now, as far as like what the Sky Report is saying, they feel he could be a 4-3 Sam linebacker or a Mike middle linebacker, while also being a great fit as an outside linebacker in the 3-4 defense, which is good news for the Steelers right now. He's at 6'4", 260 pounds right now. Collins shows some explosive speed, athleticism, and the ability to cover and play in space. In the 2021 draft, he should go no lower than the 2nd round right there. So I'm going to be thinking right now, if I'm looking at this draft to play out, I think you're going to probably be looking at least like a running back. I would then probably go outside linebacker would probably be like my second one, or you could probably do a tackle in that 2nd round, then get your outside linebacker in the 3rd round. But to be honest, it's all going to be very key right now. What happens with Bud Dupree right now? And then, of course, TJ Watt. I mean, he's going to want his money. Because remember, they're not ruling out the possibility that they're going to be able to afford him. I'll be honest with you, I think it's going to be a long shot. I'll probably have to say no. I think he has to go in another uniform. But who knows at this point right now? And I think the guy I like a lot. I definitely like Osai a lot better. I like him out of Texas. I definitely feel like he could be a fit for this guy right now. I mean, just like I said, from his pass rushing and just like how fast he could be as a linebacker. Now, there is one guy who in this draft right now who's a second-rate prospect. That's Jeremiah Owusu Kora Moa out of Notre Dame. He is the fastest linebacker with cover skills, and team sources have him compared to Jaguar Talon Smith. The only problem is he's very lightweight. He's at 215, 220 pounds. Some people feels like this guy needs to put on a lot more weight to really be a success in this league. I mean, as an outside linebacker. So we'll see how that shapes up. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition here of the Man of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, at Prodigy Richey for the Man of Steel podcast on Twitter. It is at Man of Steel CGR, at Man of Steel Nation on Instagram. And hope everyone is enjoying the All-Star festivities right now. And can't wait to hear who you guys got, Team LeBron or Team Durant right now. But anyway, as always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Here we go. I gone.